Hello YouTube, welcome to Grand Tactician, where we start off with the Battle of Richmond, the first day. So starting off, we are facing the Department of Pennsylvania under Patterson, with his force of some 14,000 men and 9 guns. The morale is eager and their supply is outstanding, with our supply also outstanding. So now we have to see if we can defend Richmond from over 97,000 Union soldiers. I almost said Confederates because I was used to the previous campaign. But no, I am the rebels this time. So, the first half of this battle is mainly me just setting up and waiting for the enemy to arrive. And while waiting for this enemy to arrive, reinforcements come in and I set them up. So, with the majority of this going to be edited out, I will cut back to when the actual contact is made, and then I'll show you how I have it set up, and then we'll just see how the battle unfolds from there. So here we are. This is my current setup for the Army of the Shenandoah. On the right here is the Army of the Potomac under Beauregard. And then up in the front here is Hampton's division covering farther ahead to delay any action coming that way. I have a skirmisher unit up here engaging with their artillery since they decided to march column down this road. So I will inflict a few casualties upon them here. Not much, skirmishers can only do so much though. Another thing is I check the lines here to see how many they're bringing in this corps. You can see that they're relatively small, and that will become a very important factor later in this 4-day fight. So Hampton's division, I believe that the rest of their forces are going to come from that northern side, so I have them set up defenses there, just in case. So far, 5 casualties, not too bad. They're still trying to load. 1st Brigade up there, only 700 troops. Again, they're really small. Really small. I'm not sure why. They must have... Oh, well, because this was the army that I had previously beaten at the Battle of Aquai Ferry that I showed screenshots in the previous video. So these guys are really beaten up. They barely had time to recoup and retrain and recruit new troops. They threw themselves. So now the artillery is opening fire. They're going to pick off some of my skirmishers. I pull them back eventually. There's no use keeping them up there just to suffer. But so far, I have set defenses, breastworks around the majority of my army. And these breastworks become very important throughout this battle. However, there is a glitch that this Union Corps does that you'll see probably at the start of the next video where day 2 begins. And they have to fix it. It's like a pathfinding issue. I'll explain more later, so don't worry about that. Mostly quiet though. They take their sweet time engaging. Here comes that skirmisher unit. They don't want to engage anymore. So here I am building breastworks now for most of my forces. I figure if they're just going to throw themselves at me, I may as well have better protection than they do. That way it'll prove more costly for them to engage and try and charge. And they get it built pretty fast, not too bad. Some good speedy soldiers in these brigades. But now they are firing their artillery upon my troops. That must have been... I can't even imagine being under that kind of artillery fire back during the Civil War. With those rounds and the explosions, I mean, obviously if you were hit by one, you are most likely dead in an instant, but... Here comes the rest of the Union Army. Their reinforcements are showing up on the field now. I believe these are all my reinforcements. They finally all showed up and I have them prepared. I try and hold this church crossroads here for as long as I can. It doesn't last too long, mainly because they really go for the flanks. They love. It must be the overall commander of the armies, which I believe may have been Patterson, but his cunning and initiative played a huge aspect in this battle. And you can see right here how much they're trying to angle around on my left flank rather than just charging straight into my center. So now my artillery is opening fire. They're going to prove very effective in the next few hours. They do break eventually because of the stupid glitch that occurs, but I believe they inflict many casualties. Especially there's canister and everything. It's crazy. This has been one of the most intensive battles that I have fought so far. I thought the Battle of Aquai Ferry, the one that I failed to record, I thought that was intense. This was 4 days, 4 hours on the edge of my seat, just trying to get a foothold and to last against these Yankee invaders. So here they come. They're doing their usual setup routine, taking their sweet time. Skirmishers coming forward to engage while I'm setting up new breastworks. That artillery round just stopped them right there. That was interesting. It's weird narrating over something that I thought I was already narrating in the middle of the gaming. So I'm trying to remember and to comment as much as I can. But it's weird just sitting here and watching your own gameplay. Usually, you know, like when I was doing this, I was in the middle of it. I was, you know, commentating and yelling and cheering and stuff, and here I am, and it's like, okay, great. So this brigade comes far forward, and they tried to come over to breastworks, but failed immediately, suffer extreme casualties at the hands of my 2 brigades there. So I gotta get them set up, a little bit of coordination issues. But you can see how much they wanted to flank. They tried to flank. They're still sending in troops to try and flank, but so far on this side, nothing is happening. They're just setting up, waiting for reinforcements to consolidate. If I could have been looking at this battle like I am now and just thinking about what happened, I would have taken this whole division and attacked this corps, and I should have gotten rid of them early because they proved to be quite the pinch in most of these 4 days of fighting. They didn't do much. They mostly sat by, but I didn't want to move any of my troops because then they would have came forward and exposed my rear and everything. So I kept these guys on this side of the field, waiting for them to attack, and they never did. So watching back on it, I totally should have been aggressive and pushed the attack, and this battle would have ended probably a whole day earlier, if not 2 days earlier. Because for the next 3 days, it becomes a battle of attrition, where it's just constant skirmishing and picking off of rifles and stuff, and the casualties just mount. And the longer that I held, the more I realized that I was starting to lose. I was getting very close to losing. So you'll see that. I won't go too far into detail about it. I don't want to spoil anything. But so far, at this time, I thought my defenses were pretty sound. Not all the breastworks were up yet, only a few at this time. Because I figured, oh, they won't do anything. You know, they won't be as dangerous as I think they will. So very light skirmishing. For the first day, it wasn't that heavy of an attack. They're setting up, they're getting into their rows of columns and stuff, nothing fancy. You'll see at the end of the day, though, that there's this weird glitch that I keep mentioning. Basically, what happens is, you see how they're deployed already? They're quite far from my lines. Not too far, but distant enough. When the nighttime occurs, AI and my side can both redeploy if I want to, and if they want to. And they do redeploy. However, when they redeploy, they end up turning sideways, and their flank ends up meshing into my 4 brigades here. And it immediately leads to melee as soon as I click start to begin the next day's worth of fighting. It's a weird glitch. They also do it during the actual daytime battle, whatever time it is. When they're fighting, they'll just, for some reason, they think they're reorganizing their lines, but they end up just turning sideways to my force. And it completely exposes their flanks. A few people on the forums have expressed this as an issue already. So what you're seeing right now is I felt that they were trying to flank me too much, so I pulled back and set up new breastworks just in time as they came closer to that first line of works. I didn't like the left flank there being so exposed. So this is the new reformed line to my entire flank. Here comes the rest of the Union forces. They're starting to inch closer to Hampton's division. My artillery at this time is too far back. I do move them, though, at one point. But right now, it's nighttime, just nighttime skirmishing, not too much of heavy action. Some brigades coming up here and there to probe and pick off some of my troops. Their artillery, though, is smashing into Jackson's brigade. I believe that's Jackson's on the right there. Yeah, so the main bulk of their forces comes from the north. 100%. All of their forces come from here. And now they've begun shelling my troops there. Another brigade routes. They couldn't handle it. It may have been skirmishers. But here's the end of the day. And you'll see in a second. There it is. That's the glitch. So thanks for watching. I will see you in the next day's worth of fighting.